Hello, and in this webinar we're going to look at how you can use Purple Mash to support story writing. So I'm going to start with looking at some of the ways that you can use Purple Mash to sort of stimulate ideas, how you might sort of collate those together and start to sort of plan and make your story, and then which apps you might use to actually create your book, and then maybe how you might share that with others. So that's the general format. We're going to start with some cracking new resources that the education team have made to help stimulate ideas for writing. You'll find those in the English area here on the front page, and if you scroll on down, there's this folder here, Videos for Writing. So if we click on there, there's two that have been published so far. The Dakota Diamonds. This is about a robbery of some precious jewels from a castle. You might want to start with the video introductions to the different parts of the activity. But if you just wanted to get into writing, you could just as easily start with the police notebook. Here it gives the basic facts of what's happened, and from there you could use this as a stimulus for your own writing about what happened in the great robbery at Hever Castle. The other one is the mysterious egg. And here, again, you've got the discovery of the mysterious egg video. So if I click on there, you'll see what I mean.
And there it is. Camouflaged by the tall grasses of the Hackney Marshes, we find an egg the like of which has never been seen before.
You could go on from here to start brainstorming with the class. What do you think the egg might be? Where did it come from? And start there your story about the mysterious egg. There's even, down at the bottom here, a story start in Create a Story, where you can then continue to write about the mysterious egg. Alternatively, you could brainstorm with the class ideas, and for that you might want to use one of the tools called To Connect. I'll just show you what that looks like. You'll find To Connect in the English area, and here you can see I can create one, call it the mystery egg, and the children can all contribute in real time from their devices onto the one screen. So I can collate all my ideas together here. You can see collaborations on up there. If you want to know how to use To Connect, there's a little video guide up at the top there. We also have other materials in English, and you can see there's resources for different writing genres. But if it's storytelling we're looking at, we could look at, for instance, creating our own fairy tale. Now, I could just set this as a task straight away for the children, but I want to take a little look at it first. Okay, so I've got a template here. I can draw, or I could add images for different parts of my fairy tale. I've got a thinking about the characters and the settings, the plot. So if you want to see it from the pupil point of view, just push the slider over there. So when I click on there, give your fairy tale a title that gives the reader an idea of what the tale is about. And you can see here there's little hints about what you might want to include. I'm going to go back to being the teacher. If I want to edit any of that, I can add extra items to this, or I can change what's in here. If they can't read this section, I could just record my voice into there, so I can instantly give it speech support if I need to. So I've got a sort of word bin or structure that I can use here, and I can save this separately for use on another occasion, so I can get it just as I want it and then use it in the future. But what I might also want is a checklist. Have you remembered to? Because there's key things that I'm working on when they're creating their stories. So if I go up to the top here, it says checklist, but it's nothing ticked here. So if I click tick, I can use ones that have already been created, okay, or I can make my own. So I've already made my own, so I'm going to open a file. I'm going to find one that I've already made. There's my story checklist. Open, and can you see now I've got my little story checklist here and what I would like them to make sure that they do with this story, and then they can tick them off when they feel they've done them. And again, I can save this if I edit it, and I can use it in future. When I have it just as I want it, I might even want to pre-populate the images ready for them. So I could do that. Could even put a character on it if I wanted to. So I can pre-populate the images, and then when it's as I want it, I can just click on the button here, click save, call it fairy tale, and once I've saved it, I can then click the share button and set that as a to-do for the children, and it will be exactly as I've set it up here. If you need more information on how to do this with the writing templates, just look for that button at the top, and that will give you a quick video guide of how to do this. So I'm just going to go back to the home page, and you can see there's various templates for different types of story settings, and there's even some paint projects that go with some of those as well. So there's a whole range of resources in there for you to start your story writing. A really good place to start for ideas would be to look at books that have already been created. And we have lots of great original books in Serial Mash. You can quickly get to it by clicking on the little button here and go switch to Serial Mash. If you don't currently have a Serial Mash license, you'll be able to click a button here that says try, and you can see you can go and have a little look and see whether it's what you would need. But if I click switch here, you can see I go into Serial Mash. I've got my libraries organized by author, but I can also go into an age group of books, and you can see here I've got lots of different books, lots of different styles. So I've got adventure books, contemporary, dystopian, fantasy. So lots of different types of books that I can access here. If I click on a book like this, you can see I've got all the chapters lined up here. I can schedule this book to be read so that it will reveal a chapter every week, every day, and I can also decide which activities the children are going to follow up this chapter with. So you can see here there's an activity describing a dragon. Okay, so I could set them chapter 1 and with the activity to follow up on it. You can see here you can turn the pages. I've actually increased the font size there, but you can decrease the font size, you can change the background colors, etc. You can do different texts if you need to. Okay, now what you could do is you could easily use one of these as a story start. So here I could maybe copy that out and paste that into one of the Purple Mash template books, and then they could write their own story from there.
Ella and Gran both gasped as the dragon began to flap, sending a rush of warm air down the hill and through the crowd. Then Mal blasted a great jet of fire into the sky. She flicked her tail from side to side and strode down the hill towards the marketplace.
So in this case, I've copied the first couple of paragraphs, and then what I've done here is I've put it into one of the writing tools. So if I click on tools here and go to publish plus, I've used the book template. So with my book I can create plenty of pages, I can add images. If I open one, here I could create my own book. So I've taken one of the pictures from the front, and there you can see I've added the first part of the story, and I could ask the children to continue writing their book. Again, because this is a publishing project, as I did with the fairy tale, you can add things to think about, and you can add checklists as well to this activity. And once you've added those, you could then click on the button here and save it, and then set it as the to-do for your children. As I said before, if you're not quite sure about that, there's the little how-to video that will tell you how to use this. Another tool I could use is to write. Now, like To Connect that we looked at earlier, this is a collaborative writing tool. So it's basically a collaborative word processor. So if you wanted children in pairs or in small groups to write their stories together, then this is an excellent tool for that. You just open it up and set it for collaboration. Again, there's a built-in video that will tell you how to do that if that's an idea you'd like to pursue. We've just looked at the book tool here into publish templates, but a great app is Create a Story. Just going to launch that. There's 3 different versions of Create a Story. There's a very simple one where you can draw a picture and you can write or tell your story. There's My Story, where you can add animations and sounds, and you've got more sort of possibilities in terms of adding your own backgrounds. And then My Adventure Story allows you to hyperlink to create non-chronological text, so you could make a decision in the story and go somewhere else in that story. If you're interested particularly in Create a Story, there's of course the video guide at the top, but there's also a webinar on creating ebooks that will go into this in a lot more detail and give you some examples as well. I'm just going to open one I made earlier. So I'm going to look at Anna and the Third Leaf here. Now this is a book in serial mash. So this could be just for retelling a story. So I could put the pictures in like I've done here, and then the children could write the story, retell the story underneath. If they need to, they can also record up here as well. So if they want to verbally retell the story, then they can. Okay, so that's retelling a story if you wanted to do that. This one is retelling a story, but this time adding features from the more advanced version of My Story. So here, can you see, I can click on the animals. Not I, said the duck. Not I, said the pig. So you can actually make it interactive. So that's examples of what you might do in My Adventure Story if you wanted to use that one. And again, this is where you can add sprites, you can add buttons to move non-chronologically between pages, and you've also got sort of story plan, which will lay out your story visually, and then you can jump to whichever part of the story you want. If you wanted to be really adventurous, you could even try telling a story through a game. If you click Tools, and you could go down to DIY 3D, there's a simple version, or there's a version with more options. If I open one I've already made, you can see I can create my game here. Again, there's a video guide up at the top, but if I click on the information button, can you see I can actually write the story here instead of putting the instructions, and then each part of the story could be a different part of the game. So they could start with this section, they could hunt for the key through the maze, and then when they found it they could go to the next level, and then the next level and the next level as the game progresses. Now I said we'd look finally at how you could publish your books. I can have a link, so I click on here, that's a link straight through to this piece of work. I can embed it, say into a web page, and I can have a QR code for this piece of work, so when you scanned it, it would go straight to the book. So I have that option for every individual piece of work. But what I can also do is go to sharing here, and I can create a display board. So if I click on our stories, here I've added our stories, and when I click on one, I can play it. You can edit this when it's live. If it has more than 8 pieces of work, it will scroll. To create a new one of these, just go to the School Display Boards tab and then click on the little cog button there. Click the plus button and you name it. You decide on the access, who can see it. But there's another little video that tells you how to do this if you're not quite sure. And then when you've saved it, it will appear on here. You can do exactly the same with blogs. If I click on blogs here, you can see I've done an Our Stories blog. And again, with the blogs, children can add their own stories, but with a blog, of course, they can actually comment on each other's stories. So here, they'd be able to click on here and read the book, and then they'd be able to leave comments on it. They'll be able to post comments here. Now, nothing goes on a display board or a blog unless you've approved it as a teacher, so you don't need to worry about comments going on that you don't want to be there. Okay, again, there's a how-to video up at the top here if you need it. Okay, so for publishing multiple books, you can use the blogs or you can use the display boards. And these, if you go for public access, will be shareable externally with parents. They will go straight through to that display board or that blog or that piece of work, not opening up Purple Mash as such. So they're great ways of publishing your brilliant books that you've created. So I hope you found that useful, and I hope you enjoy National Storytelling Week. If you need more help and support, don't forget to click the teachers area here, professional development, and you can book Mash Chats one-to-ones with us. We do lots of webinars in here as well, and we have a training platform that has self-tuition courses for 24/7 access. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.